Okay guys, so I've got everything out of the box because the box is just too big to bring in here, and I did that on the P40 and it was kind of a nightmare. So we're gonna we just did away with the box. This is all the bits that are in the box. So first off, got this big bag of the bombs, missiles. I don't know what they, there's I think 4 for each wing that hang underneath. And these are the fins that go on them. This is all plastic. We've got fins, we've got holders to hold them on the wing, all in here. And then these are just foam, little foam, the rest of it's foam. This weighs nothing. So those are your missiles or bombs, whatever you want to call them, that go on the wings. And then these are 2 big bombs here that are nicely wrapped in foam that I probably won't be able to get open. Oh, wait a minute here. Let me get the scissors here. I don't know why they have these taped up so. I mean, my God, they thought you were going to get the bombs are going to get damaged. Again, they're foam. They don't weigh a thing. So putting these on the airplane doesn't slow the plane down because of weight. It's just drag. All this air, the drag going over these is what screws the plane up. As far as your flight times and stuff, when you've got all the ordnance on the plane, it's just all the additional drag of pushing air over this, and 8 of these is a lot of extra drag, and that's what. So that's why I choose not to usually fly with the ordnance on, because I want the flight time more than I want the scaleism of the ordnance. But I do put them on from time to time. I'm not positive if these are removable or not. If they're not, I will make them removable. I'll put them on some kind of system, even if I have to buy like the FMS railing system and modify these to use that. I will make them removable, because I'm not going to put them on permanently. So there's your first look of what's in the box. Is we got 2 of these big, I think these would be 500-pounder bombs, and they even have the little propeller inside there, like the original bomb, that would spin and activate the detonator. So we have those, and we have all the plastic bits for these. Let's move these out of the way. I'm just going to throw them over here. Okay, so let's get to the real nuts and bolts of it. So I think I'll start with the fuselage. So this is a 1-piece fuselage. And what I mean by that is it's not cut in half. We have to glue a front half and a back half together. The whole fuselage is 1 piece. It has a battery hatch here, which I think is just held in with magnets. I'll have to I'm going to put a piece of tape on it, piece of clear tape, to give me a handle to grab it, because there's no way to get it off the plane right now. So, but yeah, it's just held on with magnets. So yeah, we'll have to put a piece of tape on the front or the back, one or the other, to pull it off. Somehow I got to get a hold of it to pull it off. So you don't. Otherwise, if you're going to dig around the edges here to try to pull it off, you're going to knock all the paint off of it, and then it's going to look really bad. So yeah, there's 4 big round magnets here, and then there's 4 steel plates anchored into the bottom of the fuselage, and that's how this is held on. And yeah, I don't know. It's a nice fit. Yeah, but that's not going to be easy to get off without help. So I'll either put a piece of tape back here or in the front here, one or the other. Okay, so then you've got the cowl that's going to sit on here like this. All right, and that's your fuselage. Now the cowl is not magnet, but there are two screw holes. There's one here in the top and one in the bottom. So apparently they want you to screw it on when you put it on, and that's fine. Nothing wrong with that. I would prefer that over magnets. Not that this one's a problem. This one would stay on with magnets, no problem. And I may decide to do that. We'll see. But there's no weight in this cowl. It's not like the PT-17 I did, where it had a couple pounds of lead in it. It wasn't going to stay on with magnets. But this, there's no weight to it. I mean, the dummy motor is already in it. It's not glued. I still have to glue it in, but it comes in there. And it doesn't come where it belongs. It's not set back as much as it needs to be. It wasn't centered, and the jugs weren't sitting on their little pylons for perfect alignment. So I did already do that, just playing around with it. But you'll need a little attention on this. And the trick here, guys, is to get this set back. So that the motor doesn't rub it, okay? Because it's an outrunner motor, so the can of the motor is going to be spinning inside that plastic shell there, and if it's rubbing on it, it's going to rub a hole through it. So that's the one thing you got to be careful with that. So be mindful of that when you finally get to the stage of gluing that together, that you make sure you don't, you get the motor centered in that. However, you have to manipulate the cowl so that it's not rubbing the motor. Okay, so this is not going to sit there. So hang on one second. I think I've got a pillow right here. So let me throw the pillow up here like this. I can throw this on here like this. It's not going to work either, is it? Yeah, we'll lay it on its side. It'll stay there. Okay. Okay. So this is the vertical stab, the rudder and vertical stabilizer. Personally, guys, I love this color scheme. This is my favorite, and this is supposed to be Pappy Boyington's airplane. So if you're a Baba Black Sheep fan, the number 29, all the 0 kills on it, everything about this plane is supposed to be Pappy Boyington's plane. So love that show, love Pappy Boyington, but that's not the reason I wanted this airplane. I just really love the folding wings, just for the novelty of it. The scaleness of this one with the prop and everything. This is the most scale looking of them all that as far as I'm concerned. The color scheme, I love the 3-color, the white on the bottom, the light blue, dark blue. The bottom of the wings are light blue. The bottom of the stabilizer is white, because the bottom of the fuselage is white, and then the bottom of the wings are this color. Okay, the outboard wings. So the bottom of the center section is white, and I'll show you that in a minute. But these are the outer wings where they fold, and at the fold, they're this light blue on the bottom and the dark blue on the top. And like I said, this is the color scheme that I like the most. Now, is that enough reason to buy it? No. I was seriously looking at the new FMS 1700, and I still am. Just because I bought this doesn't mean I'm not going to buy that one too. But that one's brand new, so that one's going to be around for a long time. I got plenty of time to buy that one. This one has been around a long time. And I don't think it's going away. but I've wanted this for a long time, and right now the price was right. This is the cheapest this plane's ever been in 6 years. So, so we got the 3 position flaps. I got derailleur on here. Got one of the flap sections here. The other 2 flap sections are on the center section. I'll show you that in a minute. But beautiful airplane. Now it's tons of detail on it, guys. All the panel lines, inspection holes. I know you can't see all that in this camera here, but it's just amazing how much detail has been molded into this airplane. Now, it's not the best foam. It's you know, it's firm, but it's got a lot of cell definition. You know, you can see the cells. You can kind of feel the cells. You know, it's not gatored, but it kind of looks gatored a little because you can see all the cells and everything. Unlike my the FMS pits I bought, where it looked like a sheet of plastic, you couldn't see anything. This is not of that quality, but it's still very nice. Got the gun ports here, and then this is the wing mechanism. The folding mechanism is in this slot right here. And part of it sticks all the way through the top, but it's really not noticeable, guys. You don't see much of it. And I'll show you the rest of it. It's on the center section. And this has those, I like to call them barrel style hinges. You know, they're round, and they have a pin going through the middle of them, but you know, it would index in any position. So when you're installing these, which they came pre-installed, you have to make sure you've got them 90 degrees, because you could put it in any position, and then they're hinging in the wrong direction. So these were installed correctly. Beautiful job. Very nice. There's a... I guess they're using the... I don't see a carbon fiber rod in here of any kind. That's not to say there's not one in there. Maybe it was embedded in the plane, but I don't see the breather holes where they usually have them. So I guess they're relying on this. It comes to here, okay? So it's that deep into the wing, top and bottom, and it goes all the way through the whole center of the wing. So I guess they're relying on that for your strength, which only leaves this outer portion unsecured, and it's thick. This is a thick piece of foam, guys. That's the cord right there. So it's very thick. So I don't anticipate that being a problem. I'm certainly not going to be pulling 10 Gs and trying to break it, so I don't foresee that being an issue at all. Nothing came damaged. Everything's perfect. Looks really good. Super happy about that. I actually got an email yesterday, Sunday. Today's Monday, and I got an email Sunday from FedEx that said they damaged this box and they were returning it. It was undeliverable, is what they told me in an email. And I'm like, great, that's terrific. So I wasn't going to get it today. They were going to send it back to Banana Hobbies. I already contacted Banana Hobbies and said, hey, I just got an email, said, you know, they're not shipping me my plane. You know, do you have to wait till you get it back before you ship out another one, or can you please send me my replacement right away? And then first thing this morning they delivered it, and there's not a mark on the box. There's no damage. So I don't know what that was all about, but so same thing here, guys. This, you know, got the big star decal on the bottom of this side. Of course, it's on the top on this side. You know, so just beautiful. You know, this is not the quality of an FMS plane. I'm going to tell you that right off. If you're expecting out of the box to have that perfectly smooth finish, that's not what LX Models has. It's nice. It's very nice. But for you guys that have never bought an LX model, the reason I'm not down-talking this, I'm just so you know what to expect when you get it. Okay? I don't want any surprises. If you're watching my video, I'm going to tell you what you're going to get so that there's no surprises. Okay? So I think this is a very nice looking model. Now there are some injection marks on the bottom of the wing, but there's none on the top. The top is without any injection marks whatsoever. They're all on the bottom. and there's not a whole lot of them, and they're very tiny, tiny little flowers. So, but the foam quality is not FMS quality. The paint is not FMS quality, but it's nice. It's very nice, but it's just not that good. Okay, so if you're expecting that kind of quality, guys, you're not going to see it in an LX model. Okay, but they offer stuff that nobody else offers. You know, it's a 1600 millimeter plane. It's got folding wings. Okay, these sections of wing from your radio they fold up. You know, just like on the real plane. This is the only model I know of that has folding wings. There might be I know there's no foam airplanes out there with folding wings other than this one, but there might be a built-up kit from somebody that has that mechanism. I don't know. And this plane was on sale for $359 right now, which is the cheapest it's ever been in 6 years. So that's why I finally pulled the trigger. Actually, I did pull the trigger once before. I already told that story. I had to send it back. It was damaged. The guy I bought it from, the company I bought it from, General Hobbies. I'm not afraid to say their name. You know, I don't owe them anything, and I bought it from General Hobbies, and he told me just to go buy some packing tape. Or no, he sent me to Amazon where I could get some packing tape. The packing tape with the reinforced, you know, fibers in it. And he said, just tape it back on with that. Brand new airplane, and I'm supposed to tape the flaps that were broken back on with packing tape. So I said, no, I'm not doing that. I said, you need to send me a replacement. And he says, no, just send it back. Okay, so I sent it back, got my money back. Glad I did. I paid way too much for it from him. It was $300. Let me think. It was $430.15 exactly, because I know what I had to get with PayPal to get my money back. So yeah, it was $430, right? $215 and $215.15, right? Yeah, so it was $430.15, and this was $359.90, I believe. So I got a better deal anyway from Banana Hobbies, and so I resent them after they delivered the package. I sent Banana another message saying, okay, they just delivered the plane, and it appears to be in pretty good shape. So you know, I unboxed it. Everything's fine. The box wasn't damaged. So if I have any further problems, I'll let you know. And that's where I left it. So, all right. So now here's my first issue. It's a very, very minor issue, but again, all right. So this isn't exactly in the center. The pins, the hinges that are the barrel pin ones. The top one is not quite centered. So the rudder is not perfectly aligned with the vertical stabilizer. It's cocked slightly this way. Not the whole thing's off center, it's just cocked slightly. So the top of this is not exactly over, you know, straight. But I mean, a slight trim to the left gets you there. But if you're not satisfied with this, it's a very easy fix. You know, all you need to do is, you know, get something sharp, dig in next to the pin here, and wallow that hole out a little bit so you can push the pin over. Then you put a little epoxy down in that hole to fill in where you dug out, and then you just gently push the pin over and either put some weight on it to hold it over, or you can just sit there and hold it if you're using 5-minute epoxy, and you hold it over in the right position until it dries, and then you're fine. So this is probably not bad enough that I'm going to do that, but we'll see. I kind of doubt that I'm going to do that. It's not that bad. It's off slightly, but not that bad. So I don't think I'm going to bother with that. I'm pretty happy with it. There's no damage to any of the foam. Foam's beautiful. Now, again, this is the stabilizer, the horizontal stabilizer. You know, everything came wrapped in foam. That real thin sheets of rolled foam where they just wrap everything and pack it in there. So nothing got damaged. Everything is beautiful. There's no damage to anything here. This stuff's all, you know, perfect as far as impact damage, dug-in damage, you know, anything like that. The only thing is, like I said, there's a lot of dimpling in the foam. You know, where in between the cells, there's voids, little pock marks, that kind of stuff. You know, that you don't see on an FMS plane. But still very nice. A lot of detail. All the ribbing detail is on it. It's all molded in. The paint on the bottom of this is slightly light. There's a couple of spots where the blue is kind of showing through just a little bit. Again, not a big deal. Nothing I'm going to fix. It's not, you know, it's not bad enough. I doubt you can see it on camera where it's light. But yeah, the hinges are in straight. Everything seems nice and even. Very happy with this. I've got dual elevator servos, okay, embedded, and here's the wires are taped to the middle of the section here. So that's fine. Everything good there. There's a runner servo embedded in here, okay, and they're vertical. And it's hidden pretty well. I mean, they got a beautiful painted plastic cover over here that's covering it up, so it's hidden very well. The white ones on the bottom here, again, hiding the servos. So nice job, very well. You know, very happy with that. Looks really nice. Okay, and then we've got the main section. Now, this comes completely assembled, guys, and this is the whole nut, ball, and wax right here. The landing gear, the flaps, the folding wing mechanisms, everything is already installed in the center section. Okay, wired and everything. So this is the nuts and bolts of this whole airplane right here. Everything mounts here. I think even the battery pack, because of the location of, it doesn't have a battery tray in it. Now, I'll get to that in a second. But if you have to put a tray in it, because of the location of this wing to the hatch, you're going to mount the battery tray right on top of the center section of this wing, right here. Is where you're going to put, because your battery's going to sit right here. It's not really going to sit right here, but in relation to the airplane, it's going to sit right here. I'm going to show you what they do, and it's kind of a good thing, and at the same time, it's not so great. And I'll explain that in a second. But here are your split flaps here, mechanism. The other two sections, and they are split, so they open and close, you know, as you go up and down with them. Okay, the landing gear is all tucked in. Got gear doors that cover up everything. You know, they're dual doors. Again, they're they pull them closed with a string. Not a big fan of that, but that's what you get. It works. Listen, it works. You know, is it the best idea? No. Is it the best looking over? No, but it does the job. So, and there's ways to adjust this. You can, you know, if like this door's hanging open a little bit, if it doesn't pull tight when I actually cycle it, you can, you know, tighten the string up a little bit to get it to pull tighter. So there's options there to fix that. Now here's the wing mechanism that it folds on. Okay, these big hinges hanging out here. Okay, so this hinge hooks to the top of the outer panel, and all it does is tilt right here. This one is tied to the rod. There's a big linear jack that pulls this arm right here in and out, which is what pushes the wing either up like this outer section, pushes the outer section up and then pulls it back down. And that's done with this arm on a jack screw that's inside the outer panel. So all the wiring, well actually, no, I take that back. I think the jack screw is here, isn't it? Maybe not. Okay, so I'm going to have to investigate that because there's no wires in the outer wing. Oh, I take that back. Yes, there are. The lights are in the outer wing. Hang on a minute. Let me pull that back up. I want to look at that. I didn't see a plug, but maybe I missed. I think there must be two plugs here. Yeah, the jack screw is in the outer wing. So there's at least 4 plugs here, I guess. We've got the light, which might be feeding its power off the... They like to do that. There won't be a separate wire for the light. they usually get the power for the light off the aileron servo. So there's probably no wire for that. It's just going to automatically light up when the servo gets power. So you've got a wire for the aileron, wire for the flap, and a wire for the jack screw that's going to lift the wing section. And the jack screw is in the outer panel. And all the wires are nice and neatly tucked in here. And it does look like there's, well, it looks like there's 4 wires, which is interesting because usually they don't wire the light separately. LX models never, in the past, has never been a separate wire for the light. The light's always been piggybacked off the aileron servo. So, but we'll investigate that as we build it. There'll be more detailed explanations as I build it. Right now we're just doing an unboxing to show you what you're going to get. So again, so that's your big, and then everything in here is all the wires for the retracts, the wires for the gear, for the flaps, for all that stuff is all right here in this bag. Now I don't see where they've run the wires out to pick up all the wires in the wing. I don't know where they're making that connection because there's nothing. It's clean out here. There's no wires hanging here to plug into those. So I'll have to see what they're doing. They're probably running them through the gear doors, under the gear doors through here, probably. But again, we'll find that out when we build it. Now, another thing about these LX planes that if you haven't bought one of these, I want you to be aware, they only run a 2-wire retract system. Okay, you just have a positive and negative. There's no signal wire. There's a controller here that takes care of which way, because they're just running the motor forward or backwards. That's the only thing it does. So you don't need a signal wire to the retract. As long as the controller, which is right here, can determine when it's got a load on it and stop the retract, which is what it does. It has an amp meter, for lack of a better word. When it sees a load that reaches a certain level, where the load is higher than it's been set for, it stops. It just stops moving the retract. And that's how they stop them. There's no trigger, there's no micro switch it hits or anything. When the load hits a certain level, it shuts the mechanism down. And that's part here. So you cannot run these retracts without their retract sequencer, I'm going to call it, for lack of a driver, sequencer, whatever you want to call it. So you have to run it with those. You can't run the retract without it. Don't plug it into a tester and try to run the retracts. It won't work. You can't do that. It'll work one time, and then it's going to burn out. So make sure you're going through their sequencer when you're running the retracts. Okay? So that's the entire center section. And this is the heaviest thing on the airplane right here. I mean, it weighs more than the motor. The fuselage weighs nothing. It's just foam. I mean, it has a retractable tail wheel in it. And we'll get to that during the build. I'll show you how that mechanism works. And it's also a 2-wire. It's only a 2-wire. The sequencer takes care of the tail wheel as well. But that's the only weight. This is just a block of foam. There's nothing in it. There's no wires in it. There's nothing in it. It's just a block of foam. Other than the retract, the tail wheel retract. But there's nothing else, because everything else is here. It's all here. Everything is in this wing section. So there's nothing in the airplane, the fuselage. You're going to have to mount the motor box and the motor. And again, it's not an FMS plane. It's not your standard other brand where everything's done for you. You're going to have to do a little bit of modeling here. Not quite as much as you do in a Dynamo airplane, but you got to do a little modeling here. We're going to have to install the motor. I'm going to show you that here in a minute. I'm trying to find a safe place to set this down. Let me put it here. I'm going to set this right here. And we'll put this back up here for now. Let's get these bags off the table. Okay. And then finally, you got your 3-bladed prop, and the props come in these sections here. They already have the Hamilton standard decals on them, all the prop information, just like the scale. This is the most scale-looking prop, guys. It's amazing. When you put this prop together, it's beautiful. Okay, and then you've got this giant bag of screws and clevises that you have to put all the clevises on everything. No ball links here, guys. It's old school. They're using just standard plastic clevises. Servo wires, extensions, anything you need to finish this airplane. They give you a whole bag of extra hinges. So if you break any of these barrel hinges, I think there's 12 spare hinges in the bag. So you've got plenty of hinges to use to fix, anything that breaks. There's a boatload of screws that you're going to use to put everything together. Okay? Because everything takes a screw. You got to screw all the control horns on. They're in the bag here too. None of those come screwed on. You got to screw all those on. You're going to have to screw on the linkage for the folding wings. There's screws in here for that. So there's a lot of bits in here that you're going to need to finish it up. There's an antenna in here I won't use. There's a pitot tube in here I won't use. I don't put those bits on my airplanes because they just get broken. I'm tired of that. Big bag of big bottle of glue. I won't use that either. I'll probably epoxy everything. Here's the speed control. And I think it's a hobby wing, I believe. Let me take a look here. Yeah, I think it is. Which is new. Banana was never using hobby wings before, long ago. Yeah, this is a hobby wing Skywalker 80 amp speed control. And all the ends are pre-wired. Of course, this has bullet connectors on it that you're not going to use, I'm sure. They're not quite as big as the ones that came on my HSD plane, but they're still the big bullet connectors, and I'm sure you're not going to use those. So you're going to cut those off and add probably an EC5 connector, or maybe a XT90. But whatever your choice, you're going to have to do that. But everything else, it's got a nice long wire for the, your speed control. Your motor wires are pre-bullet. And then the motor itself has a bullet. Now the motor's inside this box, and I saved this for last because I want to show you a few things about this. So this is actually your battery tie down, this box. And the reason I say that is lightly is because it limits how big a battery you can put in it. If the battery won't fit in this box, then you're going to have to find other sources of mounting the battery, tying it in the plane somehow. And this has been I'm just going to say it's kind of an issue, okay? Because it's not a big deal for me because the battery I fly this plane with fits in the box, just barely. And as that battery keeps swelling, it's not puffing, it's just getting bigger. After so many flights, it's growing very, very slightly. You don't even notice it. We didn't notice it for months until one of the guys brought out another brand new battery, and we set it on the table next to one that's had 100 flights on it, and the 100 flight one's bigger. It's grown. It doesn't look puffed. It's beautiful. It's nice and hard, but it's grown. So when it grows too far, it won't fit in this box anymore. Now that was a fluorine 4500 milliamp 45C 6S battery, and it fits right in the box. But as it grows, it won't fit in the box. Now the 5000 smart battery kind of fits in the box. I mean, you can kind of get the end of it in there, but I couldn't get it to slide all the way down in. And that was fine because in the P40 that I have the LX P40. Check my videos, you can go see that. It goes in and then it kind of jams against the foam and sits in there real nice. You know, so it's not going anywhere. It's on the CG. CG's fine, and that works too. So those are the two batteries I've been flying in this plane. Now you can go smaller and get it in the box, no problem. And then once it's in the box, this Velcro is, you're supposed to just, it doesn't go all the way in. It's going to hang out a little bit. And then you just wrap this Velcro, you know, around the end of the battery like that. And that holds the battery in there. It can't, you know, slide back. And that's how they want you to do it. Not the greatest idea, but, you know, that's how they do it. Now, if you want to design your own, you know, battery hold down, then you might consider, before you glue this in the airplane, you'll have to find out, I think it's going to glue probably, I'm looking at here, looks like the area it's going to glue is going to be somewhere here in the middle. So you'll be able to cut off, you know, probably 1.5 inches, I'd say, of the back of the box off. And that'll give you room to put a battery tray below it on top of the main wing section. And then you can strap it straight to the wing. You know, you'll have to make, or make your own battery tray to put in there. But that's an option too. So look hard at that, or which battery you're going to use, before you start gluing this thing together. Okay, so now on the other side of this box, it's screwed together here. There's 4 screws in the front, and there's 4 screws, no, there's 8 screws on the outside, 2 on each side. And that takes care of this part of the box. But this part of the box, this one didn't come unglued, but my other one did. Because they just, it's tongue and groove, like dovetailed, and then they put it all together, and then they just run a bead of CA on it, and CA never works on plywood for me that well. So I'm going to go ahead and run a bead of epoxy in each corner on the inside. You can't get any on the outside because this is very tight, sliding into the foam where you're going to glue it. So don't get any glue on the outside of it, but you can glue the inside. So I'm going to run a bead of epoxy down each one. I'm going to take 30-minute epoxy and a barbecue skewer, and I'm just going to run a bead of glue all the way in each corner, you know, and then I'm going to let it dry before I stick it in the airplane. Now this is critical, guys, and the book is, I'll show you in the book quickly. These instructions are horrible. Okay. My video is going to be way more useful to you, my build video, than this instruction book. So, if you want to look through it for the pictures, there's almost no writing in here. There's almost no usable writing in here. There's little captions here and there on every other page. That's so terrible English, I don't even know what they're trying to say. But, you know, there's 2 lines of wording right here, and then 8 pictures. And they really expect you to build it from the pictures. So, the instructions are terrible. And then on the motor box page, because I'm sure this is exactly like my P40, and this is also designed, if you bought a kit version of this, where you have to put everything together. You have to install the retracts, you have to install the lights, you have to install the servo. So all those steps in here are not helpful, because it's already all done. So you don't, you know, you're going to have a lot of pages where, well, this is all done, this is all done, don't need that, this is all done, don't need that. Now this is the instructions on the speed control. If you want to put the brake on, turn the brake off, change the timing in the motor, it's all in this little pamphlet there. But there should be a page in here that describes the motor box. Now this is even worse than the P40. Oh my God. Yeah. So they don't even tell you. I'm looking for. Yeah. Wow. And this is so old, these instructions, that this plane used to come with a 50 amp ESC. I think this thing originally was designed to fly in a 4-cell, and they only had a 50 amp ESC, and that still says that in the book. So that's how old this book is. They haven't updated the book at all. Even though they've updated the plane quite a bit, they haven't updated the book. Okay, and then so the box, you know, I don't see anything in there again. They don't even mention it. And then the other one, they at least put a little S in a red box, which you were supposed to decipher what that meant. So here's what it means. So you've got an S, Y, X, Z. Okay? Then mark the panels of the box. The box will fit the plane in any one of those 4 positions. Okay? You have to make sure the S is facing up, because this has already been giving you right and down thrust, the way the box is built. I don't know if you can see that on camera, but this is already slanted this way. You know, from this corner to this corner that way. Okay? So to put that in the airplane to get the correct thrust, you have to put it in this position to give you the down thrust and the right thrust to counter the left torque. Okay? So it has to go in the plane with the S facing up. And nowhere in the directions does it tell you that. So just keep that in mind. Remember, when you go to put this in the plane, and if you decide to cut the back half of the box off, you know, to make your own battery holder deal, make sure you mark the S on the front of the motor mount here. Put the S on the top here, so that if you whack this off, you're going to cut the letters off, and then you won't remember which one's the S. So mark the front here, S, on the front, so that you know, and that will keep you from screwing that up. Because, like I say, if you put this in the plane in the wrong direction, you're screwed. Okay, it's got a very heavy right thrust, down thrust built into the box, and you don't want to screw that up. You don't want to put this box in the wrong position. So, and again, I'm looking at these instructions, and at least in the other one there was a red S and a red box. Which, again, if you can't read the picture language that they're building this plane with, you're screwed. But nowhere in here does it tell you to put the S up. I don't even see the picture with the little red S in it on one of the pictures like they did in the other one. I don't even see that. So they don't even touch on the fact that you need to make sure the S is up. Okay, so again, guys, make sure you got the S, the letter S, you know, up. Okay? And then one last word about the box, which is, this is the most important thing. Okay, so this is critical, guys. So pay really close attention right now. On this plane, there's no stop. Okay, so this is going to go in and out wherever you stop it. So it's really important. Now, the reason that, especially in this plane, on the P-40, there was a stop built into the foam. You can only slide this box in so far, and then it stopped automatically, which pretty much set your prop distance from the cowl. But I didn't like it. It was 3/4 of an inch gap between the back of the spinner and the cowl. And that was way too much. Looked terrible. So I literally took a knife and I sawed off the stops so I could slide this in deeper. So I got the gap down to 1/4 of an inch, a little less than 1/4 of an inch, making it the spinner was much tighter against the cowl than the gigantic gap that had preset. This has no preset, okay? So what you're going to want to do is you're going to want to mount this motor to the box, okay? Then you're going to slide it in the plane. You're going to put the cowl on. You're going to put the prop on, okay? And then you're going to slide this in and out of the box, in and out of the foam, until you get the prop the distance you want from the cowl. You know, and make sure you leave yourself a little bit of room there. Don't get it too tight, because you may have to change the prop one day to something other than what they use in it, and that might force the prop to be in closer, you know, or you know, out farther is not a problem, but in closer it'll start, you know, it'll hit the cowl. So you don't want to get it too close to the cowl. But it's very important that you set that depth before you glue this. So, like I said, bolt this to this, slide this in the airplane, put the cowl on the front. You know, the motor, you can set the motor, the dummy radial, either then as you're doing this or after, but make sure you get this the right distance from the actual cowl. Listen, pay a lot of attention to this part, okay? How you're going to put the cowl on, how you're going to set the radial in the cowl, and how far the box is going to go in the airplane. You know, make sure you get all that set before you glue this. And then just, you know, take the battery hatch off and reach in there and take a pen and mark it so you know how far to slide this in. Then you can take it back out and take the cowl off and everything, and then you can glue this all up and slide it in there, and you'll have it where you want it. Because there's no preset on this, and you can slide this in or out as far as you want. And if you have it sticking out way too far, it's going to look awful. You know, you want the motor to sit, when it sits inside the dummy radial, you don't want it, you kind of want the motor even with that, or back a little bit. You don't want this sticking out, way out past it won't look as good. Okay, so you're going to want to set that back in there a little bit. But not so far as that the prop is going to rub on this cowling. So that's what's critical about this. You got to put this on the plane, and then you got to set the box and find out how far in to slide the box, and then mark it. Okay, that's very, very important on this airplane. Okay, if you're not careful with that, you can really mess this up. Okay, so just be very, very mindful of, you know, how the radial is. You know, you may want to glue the radial in first. You might want to wait till after you've glued the motor, because you may have to literally tilt this slightly because of the thrust. You know, the down and right. You may actually have to tilt this in there slightly. You know, don't just glue it in flat and expect it to fit right. You're going to have to adjust this so it doesn't rub on the motor. So be mindful of that. You may actually have to literally tilt the radial slightly to keep this even on the motor so that the motor's not rubbing on it. So just be very mindful of this. This is the final step that you really need to watch out for, and I'm sure I'll cover it again during the build. But that's kind of a big issue here, to make sure you get, you know, this on here and have the motor sitting in there, okay, so that the prop is not rubbing on this. Okay. Alright, so that's it, guys. That's the unboxing. That's all the bits and how they work and everything. I'm super happy with this, guys. The cowling on mine, this particular nose cowl is not in the greatest of shape. I got to be honest with you. This has got a lot of you know, the foam, it's just foam. But they didn't smooth any of this out. You know, there's a lot of bumping and flat spots, and you know, the cowl is the worst thing on this plane. I gotta tell you, on mine, this particular kit, they did not do any real prep work on this before they painted it, and it needed it. It's okay. I'm not gonna fix it. It's good enough. It's a foam airplane, guys, and I'm gonna fly it. But if I was gonna hang this up as a museum piece, I'd probably redo that. But the rest of the plane looks great. The foam looks fantastic. So that was the most important thing, guys. This installation of this, you got to be take your time on this one, because this makes all the difference. This is the make or break of the whole airplane, is where you get this in relationship to the cowl, you know, to get the prop on it and everything. So be very, very mindful of this. If you know, watch my video watch my P40 video, watch this one again. Just keep checking, you know, how important it is to get this that motor box in there in the right spot, because it just makes all the difference. The A, it's indexed correctly. The S, the letter S, has to be up, and then how deep you put it in, because this plane has no stop. It's not predetermined like the P40. The P40 was wrong as far as I was concerned. It is way too far out. There was a 3/4 of an inch gap between the prop and the cowl. It was terrible. So yeah, I didn't like that at all. Yeah, I just wanted to make sure this. Here's the rest of this, the propeller. This is the chrome hub. Okay, that you have to build. You know, these blades go inside this. They can only go in one way, so it's not like it's tricky. But you have to build it and then balance it. And then you're going to bolt that on the front after you build and balance this to set that prop depth. You know, the motor depth, the box, all that. So this is one of the first things I usually build, is I usually put this together, just to get it out of the way. So, okay guys, so that's the unboxing. Good look at all the parts and bits and everything. Quick explanation about how some of the stuff's going to go together. We're going to do a build now, and I'll get into depth more on all of it. But that's just that's what you get in the kit. That's what to look for, and then we're going to start the build right next. So keep your eyes open for the build video. It's coming right up. Like, subscribe down at the bottom here, folks. You guys know what to do. Thanks for coming, and we'll talk to you later. Bye-bye.